Good morning, Porsche Minor Mechanics, and welcome to my channel on YouTube. It's a wet and miserable day in Southend-on-Sea. What can I do today? I thought I'd ask myself. So I decided I was going to have a go with my leather kit. Now I'm going to be prepping and touching up an area around my driver's side seatbelt fixture. I'm going to do the ashtray lid cover. I'm going to also do the ignition switch collar because that's got a bit of wear on it, and I am also going to touch up a few other little bits and pieces as well. Now I'm making this bit of the video after I've done all the work, so that's why I know what I'm going to do, whereas at the time I had no idea. Now the product I'm using, I have used it before. I tried it out about a month ago. I didn't quite get the colour right, but it's worn extremely well. It can be polished afterwards, etc. Now this is a leather kit and it's designed obviously for upholstery, and I am now going to introduce it to some of the plastic fittings within the car. Again, because it adheres well as long as you prep your surface, and it's great. Basically I have played and trialed and errored mixing it. There's a color chart with it. I'll show you all that later on in the video, but overall I'm quite pleased with the results, and let's crack on with the video. Thanks a lot. Bye for now. Did I just blow you a kiss? Do apologize. Driver's side seatbelt mounting, top of the pillar. You will see around here and around there at the bottom, and right across the top, no, not so much across the top, but right across the bottom area there. Normally where it wears, you know, seatbelts getting pulled like that and up in the air like that. I've already gone over it once with a light colour match, which I thought was quite good, but in actual fact when it dried it was considerably lighter. What I'm going to do now, I am going to gently, you can see there's a little lip on each side, up the top as well. I'm going to gently rub that down to try and lose some of that lip, and then I'm going to create a better match of paint. This is from my leather kit, so this is the paint that is literally designed to go on your leather. So it's kind of semi-flexible to a degree, but that's been on there quite some time and it hasn't worn off, so I'm quite happy to try and do a more permanent finish. Paint mixing, here we go. I'm using a leather and vinyl complete repair kit, which I purchased online from the Furniture Clinic. Now, by no means are they or am I endorsing this product. I have used it before and I've had good results with it, but like I say, there's no sponsorship involved here or anything like that. It's just a product that I purchased for the job and thought, well, I'll give it a go. So let's sort out what we're going to do and I'll show you what's in the kit. Okay, the kit comprises of, obviously you choose your base colour when you're ordering the kit, and in my case my base colour is blue, and it also comes along with all these pigments to adjust to get the desired shade of blue that you're looking for. With the kit also comes a little pot of glue. This is for use with a little piece of vinyl that comes with it for a repair. There's sponge, there's a bit of gauze in the kit for you to put underneath any repair, I believe, as a support. I don't have any rips to repair, fortunately. And you get a colour chart and a list of instructions giving you a rough idea of what you need to add in terms of colour tints to your base colour in order for you to achieve your perfect match. So I'm going to go ahead and mix my paint up to the best of my ability. like I say, every time you mix the paint it's going to be slightly different, so I'm going to have a little play, get the best colour I can, and then I'll give you an idea of what I've done to achieve the blue. Right, in one of my own pots I've got the blue base colour there, and I've put a big blob of black in the middle of it, because obviously I'm looking for quite a dark colour. You know, it's blue but almost grey blue. In that light doesn't really show you that, it gives you a bit of an idea. I'm going to mix those together and see what I need to add from there on. I've had a good mix up. I've tried a couple of blobs on my panel. That's the colour there that I have currently. I'm just putting a little bit of magenta in there. Going to mix that up and see if we can get closer. Now I'm quite dark, but it's not dark enough. Right, I believe I've got a pretty good match on my colour. A lot of black, base colour blue, a lot of black. I'd say almost 50% black on top of the blue, and a little bit of this one magenta has gone in there as well. I've tried a couple of little drops on the face of said what is that thing called? It is a cigarette lighter thing cover. I'm just going to give it one more clean with a little bit of rubbing alcohol to make sure I've got all the existing stuff off it. By doing that, just give it a little rub over to make sure that it's perfectly clean, like so. Like I say, it's not a hot day today. You do get quite a lot of working time with the paint, so you haven't got to rush around too much. But I'm going to attempt today to use the sponge, and I'm in effect going to literally go right over the top of it. Ooh, fingers crossed. Hold tight. Let's get ready. Right, here we go. Said panel, I've cut my sponge so I can save a bit for later on. All right, here goes. I'll put a pair of gloves on, just so. Try and show you as best I can. Obviously it's important that I get this correct. You don't need a lot on your sponge, okay? Let me tell you that for nothing. Now I've gently coated that. I'm just going to pop out to the light. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. I've gone over it completely with the sponge, and I'm just going to leave that now in a safe place to dry. And while that's drying, I've got to be honest, it doesn't want to stand up that well, so hold tight a minute. Take my pot. I need to lean it on something so it's not going to mark the edge. Okay, that was literally a couple of swipes. Now, I didn't rub this one down, so I'm going to see what it looks like. The beauty of it is, if you wanted to remove that now, you could quickly do it with rubbing alcohol without any problems whatsoever. I'm now going to attempt to touch up the piece in the car. I've got a couple of little scuffs literally here in the leather. All right, and a little trick you can do with it is literally with a brush rather than your dabber, you can, I can't do it on camera, but basically, where are they? I've lost them. Right, basically See if I can do this way. No, I can't do it. Dab them with a little bit of paint on your brush, and I'll do that now. Right, that's the lower piece under the seatbelt fixing that I have painted in. Now, you're not going to know the true match on the colour until it dries. It will darken down a little bit, I believe, because I've seen a bit that's already dried. But like I say, it might not be suitable, or it might just blend in perfectly. But we'll have a look at it a little bit later on. And these pieces down here, where I've just done the little scuff marks, I've got one more right there, which I'm going to do again shortly. Again, you can polish them and blend them in and fade out any lines. Right, this is the cigarette lighter cover. Still not quite dry yet, but again, looking pretty good. Quite pleased with that. You can just see there's some sheeny bits. It dries satin. We'll give that a little bit longer. It's a damp day today, so I'm not going to put any heat on it. I'm going to let it dry naturally, and I'm going to leave it for a few hours, and we'll see what the end result looks like. But overall, quite pleased with that. All I've used is a little artist brush and a bit of sponge. Like I say, you need very, very little paint. The more you put on, the more you're going to probably have to try and remove. But so far, so good. And I know it wears really, really well. So I've got no worries of it coming off. Okay, truth be known, I did put a bit of heat on it, dried it off, and I have gone over it again twice with a little bit of warmth, thoroughly dried it and done it again. I was so pleased with the finish on it that it's still wet now, so it's shiny. It won't be when it's dry, but it's done an absolutely amazing job, and the colour match seems to be pretty much bang on. So we'll let that dry properly now before I attempt to put it back in the car and see how it sits with the rest of the trim. If it's wrong, I'll darken it down again, but overall, really quite pleased with that one. Okay, so there you can see I've dabbed the paint over the little scuff marks, and now I'm just going to wipe it away gently with a soft, clean cloth. Right, also I've got a little bit of paint left over, so what I'm going to do is I've removed the little bit of trim that goes over the ignition. All you need to do is use a trim pry and put tool in there gently, lift it out. I'm going to clean that up because mine's worn away. You can see that black on the bottom there. I'm going to give it a clean up and use up the remainder of my paint and give that a coat too. And then I'll give you a walk round and show you what I've done, because it should be dry and you'll have a better idea of the finish. Okay, just using basic rubbing alcohol to clean the part all the way in there. It gets dirty in there anyway, so it's nice to get it out and give it a clean. And I know at some time or other I've put polish on there. I have actually ordered some dark blue leather cream, which I will go over all the areas and probably most of the leather in the car to help blend in that new top coat. But there you go. Right, that's comfortably wiped out. See that? And you can just make out, can't really see it on there, but yeah, down the bottom here, this lip around here, you can see where it's worn. Let's see if I can get the torch on it, show it up a bit better. Yeah, so you can see the wear line around the bottom where the keys have been rubbing over the years. That takes a few seconds to dry. I'm probably going to do that with the sponge. It might be difficult for you to see. The trouble when you're mixing paint like this, you end up with loads of it, probably more than you'd anticipated. But I'm not going to rub it down again. Like I say, I haven't rubbed down with sandpaper, other than that little bit I did on the seatbelt harness. But I haven't rubbed anything down. But I tell you what, it has given me confidence in future, if I come back and do it again, I will get some nice fine, super fine wet and dry, and just want a quick look in there. The sponge works extremely well, but the secret with it is to wipe once or twice and then make sure you go around your outer edges so that you haven't got any drips or any overrun. That is, without a doubt, completely covered. I've still got loads of paint left, so and I've dropped the sponge on the floor, which means that's no good anymore because it's probably got dirt and grit on it. But that's the steering column piece. I'm going to dry that out gently and then literally pop it back into place. Right, there's the ignition key collar. I gave it a second coat after drying it. I've dried it again. I honestly cannot see where the colour was missing from it before. I'm really pleased with that. So I'm going to leave it just a little bit longer on the side to harden off, and then we'll stick that back in the car and I'll show you the bits we've touched up as they'll all be dry, and see what kind of a match we've actually got out of it. Still got a little bit of paint left, but it's been, in reality, it's been about 40 minutes. So like I say, it's not a hot day today. The paint is still usable, so you have got plenty of time. So, you know, it's well usable, well workable, and also appears to be quite hard wearing. If it comes off or it wears off again, then, you know, it can be redone. Like I say, I did the seat belt about 3 or 4 weeks ago, just having a try out with the kit, and I didn't get the colour quite right, but I've rubbed it and cleaned it and polished it, and it didn't come off that easily. Although if you make a mistake while you're applying it, just use a bit of rubbing alcohol, wipe it all away, and you can start again. But anyway, we'll fit this back in about 10-15 minutes and we'll have a little look at what we've achieved. Well, guess what? It's not over yet. I suddenly thought, I've got a bit of paint left over. Let's see if I can tidy up my leather boot, which I've just removed. It literally, you can pull it out gently from the front backwards. My stick, literally, this goes over there like that, and it turns to lock off on the inside of the boot, so you keep the leather at the top, and then this one just literally, my one just slides on over the top. I've got a short shift in here, so that's probably why it's slightly different to the OEM. But anyway, what I've done, I have, forget that bit for now, I'll show you what I've done over here. Right, I have packed it with tissue to get as many of the creases out of it as possible. As you can see by mine, it has got lots of flaky little bits of leather on it, as I'm sure a lot of them have. It's not overall in bad condition, other than just a little bit tired more than anything else. So I've given it a clean up with the rubbing alcohol, and I'm just going to gently rub the sponge over it. I'm going to try a little bit of sandpaper on those rough bits of leather just to see what happens. Right, I found a little bit of sandpaper. This is P120 wet and dry. I managed to rub off quite a few of the burrs around the top there. So I'm just going to give it another wipe over with my rubbing alcohol to make sure that it's clean. I have looked online for these replacement boots, and I certainly can't find a genuine one. And all the other ones I've looked at, you know, they're kind of semi-universal, and you think, oh, it's going to be baggy or gapey or whatever. This isn't, you know, the leather's in good shape. There's no rips or tears in it or anything. It's just worn. It's done a lot of gear changing over the years. Now, the thing to look out for is your stitching. Now, I'm assuming that this has been polished a number of times over the years, and the stitching is quite almost blue. I should imagine it's been polished with blue. So in which case, if you want to maintain your stitching and not make it all the same colour, then you're going to have to be very careful when using your sponge. You can wipe down along the stitching with a cloth with some rubbing alcohol in it. That will work. Right, let's just see. I'm going to put a little bit up here like that. Yeah, I don't know that I've got enough paint to paint it, but I know you can't see what I'm doing at the moment. I'm just painting a little edge down towards the stitching. I don't want to go over my stitching. I do like making jobs hard for myself. But bearing in mind this paint is very flexible when it dries, although it doesn't appear that way. It's quite cool. Right, I'm going to get my sponge out. Okay, well, I've definitely had my money's worth out of that pot of paint. I've been all the way around it, went round with the sponge, and I was able to go down the outer edges of the seams without going over the stitching. You know, the stitching generally is like an off-white colour, and it's not that easy to pick out, but I'd rather do that than just literally cover it, purely and simply because once you lose the stitching and it all becomes blue, then obviously it highlights the fact that it's been touched up, and also just takes away a little bit of the quality from the finish. So we'll let that dry, and then I'm not going to do any more. It's so tempting. You've got a little pot of paint there and you think, oh, I'll just do that. I'll do that as well. But still, we're going to let that dry. It's gone on absolutely beautifully. Like I say, I used my sponge, which has paid for itself as well, and that's where we're at. I'm going to let that dry naturally, and then we'll hopefully put it all back together again shortly, and you'll see in a few moments, time lapse of course, the finished results. Okay, here's the boot, all dry. Like I say, it dries very quickly. I've applied a little bit of heat to this. I won't show you, well, I'm not going to tell you what heat I used on it. Yeah, Muppet blowtorch, but you've got to get the distance right and the angle right. Don't recommend it. Use a heat lamp or a hairdryer if you've got to use anything, not naked flames. But yeah, that's the finished product with that. We're going to stick that back in the car now, and then I shall give you the walk round of what we've repaired today. Right, putting the boot back in the car, voila. Right, what you've got with my gear stick, I don't know what yours is like. Right, there you go. Has a piece of plastic on it. I hope you can see this. Right, like that. And it basically pushes on and twist locks, and that holds that collar in there. So what we're going to aim to do is put the stick through the hole like that, bearing in mind that the round bit, the round end of your gaiter is to the rear. Okay, so we're going to push that in there like that, and then if you fold it back like so, you should, bearing in mind we're keeping the stick, where are we, yeah, it's got to be a bit like that. Okay, and what you're trying to do is get that trapped underneath there like so, and it slides over. Use the other end of the stick like that, and then lock it off like so, and then that holds your collar in. Then pull down and you end up with what I've done, and you've got it all wonky. So that's no good, is it? So let's undo it. Try it that way. Still not quite there. So you have to just make sure that you line it up correctly. Oh, still not. See, I'm looking for my rear line and I haven't quite got it right. Okay, let's try it now. Oh, I think I've gone too far this time. Yeah. If there's an easier way, I'd love to know. That's pretty cool. Oh, okay, there you go. So I've got my rear stitching in line with the back of the gaiter, and we've got no edge showing, nice rolled edge. And then basically for mine, that's a weird shape. I haven't got to do that with it on there, have I? Oh my God. Oh my God. How is that going to work? Like that. No. Hope you're paying attention at home. Right, I reckon that goes on there like that. And pushes down on there like that. When we get to the bottom, hoping down as far as it goes. I think that is. Yeah, you can turn it round and lock it off. So then I've cleaned all my collar as well, because that's the sort of crazy thing I do. Push in the two back lugs. Hope you can see this. There's two lugs underneath the collar, the gaiter there. Push those in to your trim so they're nice and flush, and then pop the other ones in position, and that gives you your gaiter, and it looks quite nice, what to say. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. So let's have a little look round at what we've done, and then we can wrap up. Right, inside the car then, we have repainted the collar that goes around the ignition. It's a fantastic match, I've got to say. Although the interior in this car is predominantly blue, there are variations of it, and that has gone in there very, very well, and I am extremely pleased with that. We've done the gaiter again. It's not as shiny as it looks in the picture, but I'm well pleased with that. It's looking a lot fresher. I know I have seen like supposed copies of these gaiters for silly money, so again, I'm not too concerned about that. I'm well pleased with the finish. It feels, the leather's still nice and soft, etc. I cleaned around here and done all the plastic, the blue trim, with just a ceramic spray coating stuff from Hybrid, which I've used quite a lot. Again, I'm not endorsing it, but good product. I went over the handbrake leather with the paint, with the sponge, just gave it a slight wiping over, and then I wiped it dry again. So basically all I was looking to do is, rather than recolour it, was just to colour in any sort of scratches that, you know, over the years people have caught their nails on it or whatever, things have caught it. So that's that done. And then we've got the ashtray, which I'm really pleased about as well. You know, there's nothing to be argued about that. I didn't rub it down. I can still make out the scratch that was in it. Should I do it again, which is quite possible. I'm going to see how it wears. Like I say, I've used it on the rear seat belt before and it hasn't worn off, so I'm quite sure it's durable. I also went round a couple of little wear marks that were on this rear panel here. It's hard to see them, which is a great thing, but yeah, I'm quite pleased with all that, given all that a clean up in there. So overall, the finish there, pretty good. I also had on the door, this is a driver's side door, you can make them out if I get in really close. There's some little scratches here, and they are nail scratches. I'm guessing somebody has closed the door in the past and put their hand, and the window's been down, and they've gone across the top of the leather. But still, I've rubbed those down a little bit, not a lot, but I can't see them. I must admit, I've got my X-ray specs on, and I really can't see them. But there is still a couple of little, I can't even feel it. There's some little indentations in the leather, but the colour's back in the leather. It's superb. And then if we look around to here, which is the rear area where the seat belt goes in, you can see that it's drying out nicely. The colour match is pretty bang on. I've got to say, you're getting a reflection of the blue from my lights in the workshop. But I am extremely pleased with the outcome of that. So that's it. So that's the paint job done for now. Touching up. I haven't touched my seats. Don't really need to. I do have some other scuffs, little marks here and there. Now I've got an idea. You know, the best thing to do when mixing your paint is a bit of trial and error, but make sure you get it right. You know, if you get a bit of trim out of the car, like the ashtray cover, like I say, that literally, you open the lid and then the whole thing just lifts out. So you can use that to try your mixtures on and just wipe it off with a little bit of alcohol. You can clean your little artist brushes up with the alcohol afterwards and use them again. So this is the kit that I used. I bought it, I believe, on eBay. It's Furniture Clinic. If they'd given it to me next time they want to give it to me for free, I'll be quite glad about that. But at the moment, I paid for it, and it's not under any circumstances sponsored by them. And I'm quite sure other products are available. But so far, so good. I am exactly ecstatic and relieved and pleased with the overall effect. Like I say, I'm under LED lights here, so it's obviously very bright, but the colour I'm quite pleased with, and at least, all right, there's imperfections in the surfaces, I'm sure, but there's no visible scuff showing, which is brilliant. So I will be doing a bit more in the future. I've still got to do my stone chips on the front. Won't be using the same stuff, of course, but still. That's it for now. Hope you enjoyed that video and it's of use to you. I've got a few bits coming up very shortly, so keep watching, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching Porsche Minor Mechanics. Bye for now.